I know you've probably watched a lot of Notion setups and tours by now. But do you know you can take your Notion client portal from this to this? Hi, I'm Rache from Squarestylist, and today we'll personalize your Notion project dashboard in a simple and stylish way without overwhelming you. There's no shortage to the amount of client portals available online. There are a lot of off-the-shelf options like Dubsado or Honeybook, but they are less flexible in terms of design. On the other hand, you can go with Notion, an all-in-one workspace with building blocks for limitless possibilities. But if you've used it before, you know that Notion can get out of hand real quick. Just take a look at my project dashboard from last year. This portal is pretty comprehensive, but there were a few drawbacks. First, the layout was overwhelming. Clients found that there was too much to take in all at once, and they needed to click through too many pages to navigate. Second, the design looks ordinary. If your client portal ends up looking like every other template, it kind of defeats the purpose of going for Notion's versatile platform, doesn't it? Third, the questionnaires were confusing. Since clients were given full edit access on the Notion page, they tend to delete the entire questions by mistake, or tasks are all over the place. With my previous layout, getting a high-level overview of all tasks was difficult. Due to permission issues, we had to create a separate calendar per project, and this made it hard for us to merge calendars and obtain a clearer view of tasks needed across projects. With all that in mind, I went back to the drawing board and redesigned my entire Notion project dashboard while also incorporating new Notion features. This time, I made sure to feature checklists of what clients need to know. They can access only relevant information at a glance. Not to mention, the overall look and feel is more on brand, thanks to a few design choices I've made by playing around with the settings.
Allow me to walk you through the key features of our Notion project tracker. First, we have a simple yet stylish and inspiring layout for the client portal. You may easily swap the images to match your own brand. Our client portal template looks great in both light mode and dark mode. We share this dashboard with the client such that they know exactly what to expect in the course of our collaboration. But we also want this to be an engaging space for them to look forward to and to be excited about. In this client portal, we adapted a new checklist format, laying out what the client can expect from us and what we expect from them at every project phase. To make it easy to digest, I simply used toggles and check boxes, highlighting how each phase is dependent on both client and designer inputs. Previously, I used this Kanban board format, which you'll find in most Notion client portal templates as well. But while this Kanban board view makes sense to me, some clients and designers brought up that this Kanban view looks overwhelming. For the following reasons. First, clients get confused which card to click and where to add their feedback. Second, it takes a few clicks and navigating to get to a certain document. Third, they get overwhelmed seeing other tasks that are not relevant to them. Laying out the stages and the tasks in a checklist format while highlighting key dates makes it less overwhelming. We also have a project status block that highlights the most important task at the moment. For example, if we just initiated the project, then most likely we'll be asking for the client's answers to our questionnaires or our content guide. Hence, the call to action here is to view the client forms. And if they click on it, they will be automatically led to that particular document. And this is where they can click the link to answer the questionnaire as well as provide the content. Third, we made client feedback and conversations more centralized and straightforward. When we book a new project, all we need to do is click this Add a Project button. Then all the content of the project client portal template will be automatically generated. We simply need to populate this with details that are particular to this project, such as the project name, as well as the dates and the references. We share this Notion client portal with a client such that we can communicate right in Notion. All we need to do is share this entire dashboard, but make sure that when we invite them, we only give them a can comment permission. This way, the client won't be able to mistakenly delete any of the elements within our portal, but what they can do is view any of our presentations or briefs or videos and questionnaires, and then they can comment right in the comments section of that Notion page such that we have context on what the conversation is about. Notion's comment features are actually quite robust because we can easily attach files. We may use the mention option to notify our clients via email, and we may also add reminders. Contrary to popular misconceptions, Notion's email notifications are actually quite reliable, but it's important to make sure that in the welcome video wherein we introduce our Notion client portal to our clients, we remind the client to make sure that under settings, this option to always send email notifications is toggled on. In the same video, we encourage them to always tag us or mention us in the comments when they leave a feedback, because every time we tag our clients or every time they tag us, we receive this email notifications. To trigger reminders to someone else, like the client, we simply need to mention them again, followed by the reminder. So after mentioning the name of the client, we click this @ icon, and it will prompt us to choose the date. I can choose today for now, but then we can click this and then set the date when you'd like to add the reminder. So for example, August 21. And we may toggle on include time to specify the exact time when you wish the notification to be sent via email. Our fourth key feature is that we're able to house all important deliverables, references, and discussions in our project vault. For example, all our deliverables and conversations are accessible by clicking these cards. For example, under website strategy documents, this is where we embed the video and the link to the presentation, and this is where we invite our clients to share their comments. The same is true when we are presenting other deliverables such as homepage design. For example, right here, we can add the video to walk them through our design for the homepage and an option for them to view the design. Our clients can approve the designs via the comments, or if you'd like to formalize it, they can signify their approval by signing a sign-off or approval form, wherein they can affix their signature and submit this such that we can finalize this specific phase of the project. We also use the project vault to house all references such as contract, invoices, brand guidelines, and please feel free to add more references such that you won't find it hard to find relevant files for a particular project. We may also house relevant links and inspirations right here such that it's easy for us to find them. Personally, I love adding my checklists under references because my web development process involves a lot of tasks, and to make sure that I am as accurate and as thorough as possible, I do have a comprehensive checklist of all the steps involved in my website design and development process. For client questionnaires, I used to also use Notion to create questionnaires, but recently I started adapting other software. So for example, for my questionnaire, I use this form such that the client can easily submit it without mistakenly editing the questions. And then for my copy prompts, wherein I ask the clients to provide the copy for their project, I use Google Docs, and this is a preview of my Google Docs content guide. In this video, you'll learn that you can have access to this Notion portal template and dashboard. However, the template won't include my client forms and my process checklist. But if you wish to have access to these, I share these forms and checklists within my flagship programs, Standout Squarespace and Standout Shopify. The links are in the description below. Or you may subscribe to this channel because I'll keep creating videos about these form builders and checklists that I create. Another key feature of this designer project tracker is that it is now powered by Notion's new project and sprint features. We are now able to consolidate all tasks across projects in just a single view. Notice how we have a project dashboard at the top where we have different views of how our projects are overlapping or where in the process these projects are, and we also have the option to view all projects. This project dashboard is typical to most Notion client portal templates, but what's new with our designer project tracker is that we now have a master tasks dashboard reflecting what's due today, what's due next week. We also have a calendar view of the tasks due across multiple projects. And if we'd like to just view the tasks for a certain project only, then we have a filter right here. For example, if I only want to see the tasks for our Essential project, then I can choose this filter and it will only show the tasks for our Essential project. And if you have advanced project management needs, there is an option for you to add more properties to each task and even adapt sprints, because this is now powered by the new sprint feature of Notion. In my previous project dashboard, and this is also what you'll find in most Notion templates, we had to click through each of the project before we're able to view the tasks that are due for each project. This consolidated view of all tasks across multiple projects is now possible because this list of tasks that we'll find when we open any of our client portal, at the very bottom, you'll find a list of the tasks related to this particular project only. What's important to remember is that this table or this database is not visible to the client. This is only visible to us, the owner of the Notion workspace. We may also collaborate with our team members using this database, and we don't need to hesitate because the notes and details right here won't be visible to our clients. Again, clients don't need access to all of these tasks and steps. What they actually just need is a simple and straightforward view of the current project status. Hence, this checklist format is more than sufficient.
Let's walk through how you can set up something similar for your studio step by step.
Now I have a great news for you because you don't have to build this designer project tracker and client portal from scratch, because using the link in the description below, you'll have access to this exact Notion template. The template link will lead you to this screen, and here are the steps to install. First is to sign into your Notion account. If you don't have a Notion account yet, don't worry, you may create a free account using the link provided here. And the next step is to click this duplicate button at the top right corner. This will now be duplicated to your own Notion account, and you may now edit it to your heart's content. You may change the title. You may also remove this call out for the instructions, and then we may now start editing the project template. This template contains the default content when we hit this Add a Project button. So it's best to customize it based on how you typically run your projects. For example, if you'd like to change the images, simply click this ellipsis icon and hit the Replays button. I recommend creating a welcome video walking the client through how we can make use of this client portal. First, remind them that they would need to set their notifications to always receive emails. They can do so under Settings and Members, My Notifications, and toggle on this option to always send email notifications. In that welcome video, just let them know that we will guide them on how to provide feedback to our presentations, and it's as simple as clicking this button and adding a comment right here. Just make sure that they mention us every time they comment. In that video, I also mentioned that if they have any general questions that are not related to the presentation that we are currently reviewing, they may simply toggle on this chat button and hit the Send the Message option. You may use the same welcome video across all your clients, hence we're adding that welcome video in our template. So to add that welcome video, simply toggle on this how to use this dashboard and paste the video link right here. Alternatively, you may hit / on your keyboard, start typing video, and then this is where you'll add any YouTube or Vimeo links. You may choose to edit parts of this template. Again, this will be applied to succeeding projects that you'll create using this project tracker. So at the moment, I added stages of my process from onboarding up until offboarding. But if you have any other main phases of your projects, feel free to just add process tab by clicking this button. For example, if you have a brand strategy happening after onboarding, then this will be our brand strategy phase, and we can simply move this using the 6-dot icon and move this to the proper place within your process. We may also make changes to this project vault content, keeping in mind that whatever we add here will be applied across all projects. This tasks list right here must be kept empty while we're editing the template. We will populate it when we are editing the client-specific project dashboard. Once you're happy with the content of our project template, we may now use it as a template for our succeeding projects. Once a client books, that means they've signed the contract and paid the initial invoice, I create a project for them in this dashboard by hitting this Add a Project button. Once we hit the button, all we need to do is change this new project name placeholder with the name of the project. For example, Project Solena. Then we can populate the dates for this project. For example, it's from August 1 until August 31. So we can include the time by toggling this option on, such that we can choose this end date, August 31. By hitting Shift. Notice how our default project template content has been automatically added. Our dashboard is best viewed on full screen, hence I click this Open in Full Page icon. We may now populate this portal with the details that are specific to this project. For example, you can mention the name of the client here. Also, we need to make sure that the buttons are led to the correct pages. This welcome video is automatically led to this page. The chat is also automatically led to this discussions page. This button to view client forms is also automatically connected to our client forms references. So we can just add the links to our client forms, both the questionnaire and the content guide. And At any point in our project, we will also change the content of this project status block. For example, if it is our time to present the website strategy, for example, once we're ready with the website strategy, we can let the client know that the website strategy is ready for review, and we also need to make sure that we update this call to action. Right now it says view client forms. We then have to change this to view website strategy. And you also have to make sure this leads to the correct reference file. So instead of client forms, would need to select the website strategy document because this is our presentation at the moment. So if I hit share for this website strategy document, I can copy the link. And that is the link that we will indicate when we click this page option. I'll paste that link and it will then confirm that we are connecting this button to the website strategy document. Now that they are corresponding to each other, I can hit done and just make sure that when we click this button, it leads to the website strategy document. Another button that we have right here is our feedback guide. It will automatically lead to our feedback guide reference, but if you don't need a feedback guide, then you can simply delete this. However, if you'd like to create your own buttons, it's quite easy to add by hitting / on your keyboard, start typing button, and then for example, this button is to view other guides. Then I can add a step, and that is to open a page. And similar to what we did earlier, we can just use any reference, copy the link, paste that right here when we select a page, and then this way we are able to use this button to open any references inside this client portal. Of course, feel free to change the placeholder tasks that I added to each of these phases. We may also indicate some reminders. For example, if I need to remind a client about a date, then I can just mention them anywhere and then follow it with a date. We can do that by hitting the @ symbol and start choosing a date, and then just change this date to the relevant date, and just make sure that the reminder is toggled on the day of the event or one day before the event. Typically, though, I prefer minimizing the number of reminders. So whenever I present a website strategy or homepage design, for example, I simply add the reminder within the comment thread. So for example, I'll say hi at name of the client, and then I'll just let them know that this strategy is ready. Of course, feel free to add more details, but then within the same line, we can add a date, and they will be automatically reminded on the date that we indicate right here, as long as their name and the date is within the same comment. As soon as I've checked all the buttons and all the details that are specific to this client, I share this dashboard with a client by using the share button. I add their name or email address, and then I just make sure that this permission is set to can comment only. I hit invite, and you may also add some message to give them more context about what this invitation is about, and they will be receiving an email on how to create a Notion account and access this dashboard. Now we'll proceed with the task list at the bottom of our client portal. Again, I'd like to remind you that this task list is not visible to the client. We may now start adding the tasks that are related to each of these phases by hitting this button to add new tasks. So for example, if under onboarding, we need to send the invoice or sign the contract, we can add that right here and add the due date. Alternatively, you may use preloaded tasks at the bottom based on typical steps involved in a design project, and then I'll hit this option to use this project tasks view. Then we can preload this task by making sure that we select the first task, and then while holding shift on my keyboard and then selecting the other tasks using the arrow down key on my keyboard as well. We'll copy all these tasks to this table by grabbing the 6 dot icon while all of them are selected and making sure that we're holding the Option key on our keyboard when we're using Mac, or Alt key on your keyboard when you're using Windows. So I'll hold my Option key and drag that to this database. And this is how we'll preload the tasks to this table. Once these tasks are preloaded, we can switch back to tasks list and make changes to each of these tasks. Notice that there is like a parenthesis 1 that is automatically added to each because we've copied it from our main tasks, but we can easily remove it. And we may also edit each of these tasks, change the due date, change the week number, and of course make changes to these properties and values. For example, if you do have more faces than what I've initially added right here, we may add more phases or stages to your process. Simply add another one, for example, brand design, and we may change its color using this ellipsis icon. And of course, you have the option to add more properties. Since this list of tasks is not visible to the client, I just add personal notes right here, some things to remind myself of regarding this particular tasks. If the tasks are not arranged chronologically, you may simply hit this option to sort. We can sort by due date and make sure that this is ascending. We also have the option to view this database in multiple ways, any way that makes sense to you and that will help you be productive. Again, this is not visible to the client. So we have a monthly view, and then we also have a weekly one. Notice that these weeks are week numbers that I manually added. These are not really connected to the weeks of our calendar, but I like categorizing my tasks based on the week numbers because I typically keep my design and development projects from anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, and then I like assigning the week number for each task. We also have a timeline view, which is particularly helpful if you'd like to set up dependencies. Dependencies is when we connect one task to the other, especially if a task is highly dependent on a preceding task. For example, we won't be able to schedule any kickoff call if the client forms haven't been completed. So I, most of the time, set up the dependencies for each of these by connecting them. And then if, for example, if we move the deadline of one task, then there will be a red visual indicator that there has been changes in the schedule. And there is a cool feature wherein if we click this dependencies options, notice how we have these options to shift and maintain time between tasks. That means all the other dates will move depending on the movement of the blocker or the essential task. So notice if I choose this option to shift and maintain time between tasks, if I try to move the due date of one task, then all the other 9 dependent tasks will also move in terms of schedule. Now, what's beautiful with this project template is that all the tasks that we added right in this project Selena, all of these will also be reflected in our tasks list right here. Notice how under Project Selena, we have all these tasks. And if we create a new project by hitting this Add a Project button, for instance, I can name this project Linea, and probably I can assign a different icon so it's much more distinct visually. I can use this and probably use this orange color. If I add tasks to this project, again, by using our preload tasks, notice that when we view this in our tasks dashboard, all the projects for Project Linea and Project Selena are distinct from each other. And we can also see that under our calendar view. If you'd like to reflect the project property here, we can use this properties option and just make sure that the project name is shown in the calendar as well, or any views that you like in this tasks dashboard. I also use this same project tracker to manage my personal projects. I love working on personal projects, for example, a Squarespace or Shopify template. As soon as I've tracked all the buttons and all the details that are specific to this client, I share this dashboard with a client by using the share button. I add their name or email address, and then I just make sure that this permission is set to can comment only. I hit invite, and you may also add some message to give them more context about what this invitation is about, and they will be receiving an email on how to create a Notion account and access this dashboard.
Hope you found this resource helpful. If you'd like to learn more about Notion or other tools for web designers, please subscribe below or check out our courses, Standout Squarespace and Standout Shopify. The links are in the description below. See you